on a possible attack.
Whoa. The HRT. That's the best of the best.
Does anyone else think it's weird that some accents are more attractive than others? Like, people will consistently rank French as a more attractive language than German. And a common explanation for that is, oh, German is a harsh language, but there's no linguistic basis for that claim. German can actually be a beautiful, poetic language. Contrary to popular opinion, there's nothing in its sound that makes it less attractive. Instead, it's all in how we stereotype the speakers of these languages. Like, the Spanish, Italian, and French accents are considered more attractive because their countries are associated with things like romance, culture, art, and wine. And because of this effect, a lot of first world countries have accents that tend to be regarded as more attractive. For example, every single country that Britain colonized agrees that the British accent is hot. And at its core, this basically comes down to sociolinguistic data issues where colonized countries still associate their colonizers with greater wealth and culture. This is called a prestige dialect, and it's the same reason why many people found the transatlantic accent to be more attractive. It was associated with a higher social class, so we created this narrative that it sounds better. And unfortunately, a prestige dialect often coincides with the accepted standard pronunciation of a language, which means that minority dialects often get marginalized as a result.
If you're sick right now, it's probably COVID, but a lot of people are not testing positive on their rapid tests. And I did a video yesterday explaining why, and I'm already seeing people using some of the tips I gave and getting positive tests. So this person commented, "I'm sick right now with negative tests, but I just did everything you mentioned and strong positive tests came up." What worked for them is testing after 5 days of symptoms, swabbing both their cheek and then their nose. You want to not eat or drink for 20 to 30 minutes so that you don't have anything contaminating the test or washing out the COVID or anything. So don't eat or drink 20, 30 minutes. Swab your cheek and as far back in your throat as you can get. Go in your nose. Don't go up or get like the surface area here, but if your nose shape allows, you can also go down and back because your nasal cavity actually goes back into your head. I have a video link below that goes more into the science of rapid tests, and at the end it has a demonstration from, I believe, an ENT or a somethingologist. I can't remember his exact title. This person also used an extra drop of test liquid. That's a trick I got from Patrick. And one other topic in that prior video about why people aren't testing positive, the government has been giving out almost expired tests, or many of the tests were extended maybe a year. So the box will have an expiration date, but you can Google rapid test expiration dates and they'll show you when the dates were changed, often pushed back a year, but even those extended expiration dates are now coming up. So if you're still within the extended expiration, the test should still work decently well if you're following the tips in my video. If the original expiration and the extended expiration are expired, that test is probably not going to work for you. That's another reason people are getting negative tests. So, and I got a ton of comments, people saying, well, I tested positive for flu, or RSV is also going around. Absolutely. There are a swarm of viruses happening. This is the new landscape we're going to have to deal with every winter because COVID's hurting our immune system. So I had never heard of RSV until a couple years ago, until the triple-demic when it was putting kids in the hospital. So we're being affected by more of these viruses. They're hitting us harder. Things that used to be mild feel worse. So it is hard to know exactly what's going on, but still the dominant virus out there is COVID. We're in the second biggest wave ever right now. We can see it in wastewater levels. So if you're sick, it's probably COVID until proven otherwise. And I'm giving tips on how to prove it's COVID with a better chance. Ooh, last tip. Some people have been reminding that you can get free tests from the government through USPS. I have a link in my bio. You might have to scroll down a little bit to find it. And additionally, some libraries offer tests or masks. Also, if you need quality masks near you, look up mask blocks or clean air in the city you live in. There's groups around the country that are distributing free masks.
If every single woman who has experience of sexual assault was to go to the police, there are not enough police officers or courtrooms in the world to deal with the problem, and that's not even taking into consideration that the problem goes all the way to the very top. Now, that's not my way of saying you shouldn't go to the police, it's just my way of letting you know how big this fucking problem is. 97% of rapists will not spend a single day in jail. That is a real statistic. That is fucking abhorrent. So how do we fix that? How does society, how do we fix this? How do we stop this happening? It's all I've been thinking about for the past year, over and over and over again. How do you fix this? How do you stop this? How do you prevent this from happening? And I've got no answers, man. The only thing I can think of is it has to involve us. And by us, I mean men. Now, to the women in the room, I know you know this. None of this is new information to you. You've lived your life, you've got your experiences, and your voices are more important and necessary in this discussion than mine. That being said, I would still like to lend my voice to the discussion. And to the men in the room, I want to make something crystal clear. This isn't an attack. I'm not accusing you of anything, and more importantly, I'm not accusing your friends of anything. I'm just trying to tell you my experience, and this is my experience. I knew this man for 8 years, and he fucking did it. There are monsters amongst us and they look like us. If you are sick of the narrative that is currently going on about men, feel free to change it, but you have to get involved. Don't make the same mistake I did for years, which was just sitting back and be like, well, I'm not part of the problem, therefore I must be part of the solution, because that's just not how this fucking shit works. I believe, and deep down I know that most men are good. Of course we are. But when 1 in 10 men are shit and the other 9 do nothing, they might as well not fucking be there. Being good on the inside counts for absolutely fuck all. You have to actively be good and get involved. Instead of having this fucking hero complex of being like, I'm going to beat up a rapist, fucking prevent one, stop one, because I know it can be done, because I know how I fucking failed at it. Because if I'm being 100% honest with myself, were there signs in my friend's behavior over the years towards women that I ignored? The answer is yes. And then he raped my friend, and that's on me until the day I die. Talk to your fucking boys. Get involved. Because I'm going to be honest with you, lads. Women are trying their hardest to not get raped. Like every day, they try to not get raped. I think it's their priority. Mine's is Wi-Fi. I can't do much, I just won't do nothing anymore, and I'm just suggesting that you do the same. Now, my friend, she's been helping me write this end bit because it's a very sensitive subject, and I want to try and do it justice, and after the first preview, I was very, very nervous, and I ran up to her, and I was like, what do you think? Do you think I'm making it too much about me? And she was like, yeah, every second of every day. That's what you're doing right now, you fucking moron. And I was like, it means I love you. She was like, that's the only way you can do it. Only talk about it from your perspective, because men will listen to you, and they will, because I look like them. And that's not fair, but it's true, so maybe we can use it to our advantage. There was a very famous experiment several years ago. Scientists worked out that if you take a frog and you put it into boiling water, the frog will jump out immediately because it knows it's about to die. Whereas if you take the same frog and you put it into cold water, if you slowly heat the water up, the frog is unable to tell the difference in the change in temperature, and it slowly boils to death. I'll be the water. Ladies, you're boiling as you have every single right to be at this point in time. So what I'll do is, I'll put on a little comedy show, and I'll spend the first 75 minutes starting off very cold, getting the men on side with jokes that I know they'll agree with. I'll say things like, all right, boys, do you like kids and you're not a paedophile? And they'll be like, I do like kids and I'm not a paedophile. That's very well observed. Interesting. I'm going to listen to more of what my twin brother has to say. And I'm like, all right, boys, do you like drinking? They're like, fucking hell, I'm a complex individual, but that's 2 for 2. He's absolutely nailed me. This is unbelievable. Is he a psychic or a comedian? What is this show? Come on. There's no way he'll get the third thing. The third thing would be impossible. Pussies are confusing. Fuck me dead. Never has a man seen into my soul so much. And then I'll slowly turn the temperature up. Now, don't worry, I will leave on an actual joke so we don't all leave here sad. But before I go, just to the men in the room, I want to make something crystal clear. This is not meant to be a fucking lecture or someone on the high horse telling you something. It's a man who fell off his fucking horse. It's a man who fucking failed. And these are just the things I wish I'd known a couple of years ago. If you think this does not affect the women in your life, talk to them after this show and watch your world crumble before your very eyes. If you think this does not affect the women in your life, it's not because it's not happening to them. It's because they don't trust you enough to talk to you about it.
Don't talk to me about decolonization when you still speaking in the colonizer's language. See you genocide us, then you colonize us. See you sterilize us, and now you fetishize us. See you stigmatize us, then
This is what the electoral map would look like if non-white people, both men and women, voted.
I've tried to make this point multiple times on TikTok, but no one cared, so I'm going to use the visual. White people are the only people keeping the Republican Party alive. We don't talk about it that way, though. In your entire lifetime, you would not have seen a single Republican president if it were up to people of color. If it were not for white voters, Trump would have won 2 states. Bush would have won like a state. America's problem with the Republican Party is not similar to its problem with whiteness. It is the same problem. White people are the only people keeping the Republican Party alive. And it's weird to me that we seem to refuse to describe the Republican Party as something that's being driven by whiteness in America. We talk about age. Well, these older voters just keep voting for Republicans. We talk about location. Yeah, voters in the suburbs and in the Bible Belt just keep voting for Republicans. We talk about education. Non-college educated voters continue to vote for Republicans. We even talk about religiosity. These evangelical Christians just keep voting for Republicans. Older non-white voters don't vote for Republicans. Non-white people in the suburbs and in the Bible Belt don't vote for Republicans. Non-white evangelical and just Christians in general don't vote for Republicans. Non-white people who aren't very educated don't vote for Republicans. It's being driven by whiteness. And our hesitancy to talk about it that way is an exercise of accountability avoidance, particularly for white liberals and white leftists who get to talk about all the other things that are driving conservative ideology outside of the largest thing, whiteness.
Okay, I gotta... Oh, can you not? I'm just... Okay, well, why would you...
The life lost in Gaza is unconscionable. Should have never, ever happened. And we need to fix it. But even though that's true, that doesn't mean that we should elect Trump. So young people, this is for you.
I truly could not sit through that whole JVN video. It pissed me off and I don't care what they have to say. But you know what the cherry on top really was? White queer liberals will sit here and tell you, vote blue or you don't care about queer people in this country. Vote blue or you don't care about black and indigenous people in this country. Their most, recent video, when I checked, was about Nex, the trans indigenous child who was murdered in Oklahoma 2 weeks ago with, no repercussions towards anyone involved. They were beat up so fucking badly that they couldn't go call for help. Nobody else called for help. And they were suspended afterwards. And you're going to sit here and you're going to talk about that and you're going to continue to say vote blue when transphobia and anti-trans legislation has been so rampant in the past 4 years. Biden has done absolutely fucking nothing to protect indigenous people, to protect trans people. So many of the things under his administration have been a direct attack on both communities. Your racist values precede your queer identity. You truly stand for fucking nothing except yourself. Piss me off.
Please don't talk to me about decolonization when you still speaking in the colonizer's language. See you genocide us, then you colonize us. See you sterilize us, and now you fetishize us. See you stigmatize.
Honest question, genuine question. Why don't leftists care about masking? Why aren't supposed radical, socially conscious people, why aren't they masking? We're in a full-on pandemic raging, disabling hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. We care about liberation, but not for the disabled. I genuinely do not understand the dissonance. We claim to care about communal safety, but not about community when it comes to a virus that's spreading and acts like HIV in a lot of ways. COVID, it's a damaging virus. It's truly a damaging virus. And the denial and the passivity of leftist people in masking, I can't grasp it, man. Our government has lied to us about everything, but they haven't withheld things about COVID. COVID's the thing that we can trust them on. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. I just don't get it.